I saw that Sway D'Angelo is happy to be here. We all are happy to be here. Happy
Absolutely.
Tuesday. Happy Tuesday. Hello, every beautiful body out there. My name is Blair G. Hervey. I am the founder and CEO of The Corporate Strategist. I'm joined by my colorful co-host, my bestie, my soul friend of 20 plus years, the corporate strategist, independent consultant, DEIBA speaker, self-proclaimed diversity geek, D'Angelo Crane. Hi, D.
Well, hello, Thelma. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Did you call me Pamela?
I did.
Thelma. Thelma.
Oh, Thelma.
To my Louise, forget it. Thelma and Louise. It's supposed to do. We forget it
Don't
because
worry
we're
about it. Don't
we're
worry about it.
prideful couples. Thelma to my Louise. Do you not know that reference? I'm the only one who saw Thelma and Louise.
I have seen it, but usually you say both names. But nonetheless,
I know
hello.
it. I know it. I thought she was going to catch it if I just said one name. But I'm always thrilled to be here on the Black Diva Collective stage to share a little love, light, and laughter with you and our wonderful guests that we always have on. So hello, hello, hello.
Absolutely. And a big welcome to our guest, Justin Owens. We are so excited to have you. I bet you thought I was talking about you when I said soul friend, best friend, but
Hey, listen, I'm here for it, man. I'm excited. You know what I'm saying? I'm excited to have this conversation. I know it's gonna be a positive one, so let's do it, man. I'm excited.
Let's get right into the love and light first. So we always have a sunny segment that D'Angelo kicks us off with first. So D, I'm gonna pass it to you.
Well, first of all, I am always excited and jealous when you have your other best friends on the show, but it's not going to be very they're they're always as dynamic as I am, so it's always a good day
Absolutely.
to share with them. But as we always do here on the Black Diva Collective, we do what we call the art of the check-in. And why is this important? Because we're asking leaders each and every day, if you want to build some empathy, some vulnerability, and some trust in your team, it starts with really digging a little deeper below the surface and checking in on your employees. And so we like to always model that here. Justin, how's your heart, your mind, and your soul today?
Man, man, I'm at peace. I'm excited. I'm blessed. You know what I'm saying? Around positive people. So man, all is good, man. No complaints. Just grateful to be here and excited about the year. You know what I mean? So absolutely.
That's awesome. Blair, if there's one thing that you could change about today already, what would it be?
Wait a minute. See, I don't like to do stuff like that. That's not what
I can tell you what, Justin getting in here on time. You know what I'm saying? Let's start there. Hey, I was actually in here. My audio was not connected for whatever reason. I don't know why. I figured that out later. But I know that's one thing she would change.
It's all good. You know what? One thing that I would change, I probably wouldn't have had what I had for breakfast. I know better, and so I should do better. No, it was nothing with cheese. It was something with meat. It was unnecessary. But other than that, you know what I'm saying? My head is great. My soul is great. My heart is great. You know what? I couldn't, if I was any better, I'd be twins. Who used to say that, Justin? You don't remember. Jason Barker. Shout out to Jason Barker. D'Angelo, how's your head? How's your heart? How's your soul, my friend?
I am just dandy today. No complaints. My head I have a little headache because I slept wrong on the wrong pillow for a while. And so, baby, the tension is all up here. As you get older, you can't be sleeping on the wrong pillows. I'm telling you, you got to have the right pillows. You can't be sleeping any sort of way because you get that crook in your neck. So if you see me kind of tilt here or there, it's because the pain is just traveling from here to there. All because I slept wrong. But other than that, I am good to go.
Well, I'm glad that this is the LinkedIn platform because I usually would say something inappropriate, but I'm glad to know that it was just a pillow that got your head sleeping wrong. But you know what? Let's go ahead and get into this thing. Y'all, if y'all are not familiar with Justin, I don't know how that is even possible, but I'll go ahead and do a quick introduction the LinkedIn way. Justin Owens is an award-winning author, speaker, sales trainer, and serial entrepreneur. He is the founder and CEO of New Age CEOs International Incorporated and Run the Play Incorporated organization. So that is the gear that y'all have seen me wearing from time to time. This particular organization, it actually awakens leaders to their true potential. And so when he's not traveling the world, mentoring and guiding the next wave of champions, he's just being, a top-notch girl dad to his daughter, London. So again, welcome, Justin.
Glad to be here. You know what I'm saying? Glad to be here.
I love it.
Excited for this conversation,
Me too. So let's get right into it. We're going to talk about, cultivating lasting relationships, and we'll get into that. Dee will do that introduction. But before we do, I did the bio. I shared some of the things that, I've learned about you, but I've had the pleasure of knowing you for over, I feel like 15 weeks. We do this 16 years. We do this every time. Yeah, so usually we tell folks that, we started knocking on doors, slanging security systems.
Security systems, anything that was legal, door to door.
Absolutely, absolutely. But how did you get into the work that you're into now? How did you start really building relationships with these dynamic leaders?
Yeah, I think it starts with one, just recognizing the people that are around you today. I think a lot of people mistake that. They're always like, how did, like, even some of the people that I've met and have in my circle today, how did they get there? I'm like, yeah, well, it wasn't quite like that. It's like we connected years ago. And then just so happened everybody continued to elevate and level up. And then it's like, okay, man, how did you get a chance to know these people? And then I think the other part is, honoring relationships as you're going along and being intentional about building those relationships with really no intentions. Like, I don't, there are some people that I meet today and I'm like, okay, you're really trying to meet me to just do something. The way to be able to tell that, as soon as you meet them, they're asking for something right away. I'm like, yo, I don't even know you like that, So I think for me, it's been, just being as like a positive person when I'm meeting people and just being genuine, checking in on people, making sure they're good, see if I can help them in any kind of way. And then, just staying in front of people, like, once or twice a year, being intentional about reaching out and developing those relationships. And again, not asking for anything over time.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. So, I mean, I love how you shared that's kind of like where you are now. But how did it get started, like way, way, way back then?
You talking about, like, go back to
take us all the way back. Where did you get this sense of, it's really important to stay in contact. It's really important not only to do that, but be intentional.
That's probably my mom and my grandma, because they're like, well, my grandma, before she passed, she was like the connector of the whole family. And then my mom after she passed, my mom has been the connector. So she's always checking in with people, always following up, making sure you're good, sending you some Bible scriptures, whatever she could do to just stay present on your mind, And so I adopted that. There's a lot of stuff she would teach me about, just like, being good to people and, just being a good person regardless of how people are to you. And so I picked up on that, and then so I just started applying it to business. And at the beginning, I'm not gonna lie, it was a little difficult because most people don't reciprocate it. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what throws a lot of people off. It's like, man, I'm checking on people, and sometimes they don't respond. It still happens to this day.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't reply. But 9 times out of 10, people still see it. Just like me, I see some messages, and sometimes you can reply mentally, and you don't reply in real life. That happens. People have things going on as well. But yeah, so learning that from my mom, and then it's like, like you said, we started door to door, and so it's like there's this thing I teach called transferable skills that, like, literally, even though I'm not doing door to door sales today, there are skills that I learned in those environments that did pay off. It's like, okay, how do you get a chance to connect with people and build a relationship in a short period of time? I'm 6'5", I'm Black. I don't know if y'all noticed that, but that's not the easiest profession for somebody with my stature, to make somebody to be accepting of who you are, especially selling some of the stuff that we were selling in the past, like security systems. Like, hey, let me come in and take a look around. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that ain't. So how do you get a chance to build that trust and those relationships with customers in a short period of time? And you say, okay, man, if I can do that with customers that I don't know, now let me start networking and getting in these rooms and connecting with people and using some of those same skills that I transfer from that environment and putting it into to business.
Well said. I love that. And I talk about transferable skills in my book too. So,
I
know how important and valuable that is.
All right. Yeah, let's get into it. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together, which is African proverb. Or, as Uncle Steve Harvey has said, I don't know if he's still Uncle Steve Harvey, but networking can get you into places degrees can't. Keep grinding. And so today we're just going to really dig into talking about the significance of building relationships. Justin, I remember in my career, I've been called back to an organization to come and work for them because of the relationships that I had built within the organization. So I didn't have to go through some of the processes that other people have to. So talk to me a little bit about how has building intentional relationships helped you in your business or in your life, or both?
Yeah, I really believe that. Well, the first part is helped them both, right? Because I think they're connected. But I think every business opportunity I've had has come from some type of relationship. And I think one of the things a lot of times people have to remember, because I deal with a lot of entrepreneurs now, and they're like, man, I want to make more money. I'm like, yeah, but you got to remember that money comes from people. And so if you want to get good at making money, you're going to have to get good with people. Typically, if you find somebody that's not good at making money, they're probably not that great with people either. And I've learned, probably in you all space as well, is that every environment is very, very small. It seems like it's a big world, but it's very small. And people talk, and they say, oh, hey man, this is a great person, or they were great for the environment, or no, they weren't. Like, I've had people join my business and I'll get a call and be, hey man, listen, they're a solid person, just watch out because they got their ways. And I'll be like, all right, cool, appreciate the heads up, and it's like they never know that I had that conversation. But again, like, there are people that I know today that they don't know I know people, because we don't post every time we're together. And so it's like, we know stuff about people. They don't even know that we have a relationship. And so I've learned that's like, okay, like I went to, there was a celebrity that's here in Atlanta. I'm not going to say anything about who it was, but we went out to dinner, and that was my first time connecting with them in Atlanta. And they were like, they invited me because we had connected in LA, we connected in Miami, and they invited me because they wanted to see if, when I was sitting with them, if anybody came up to them to say, watch out for me. And they were like, because everybody came up to them and said, oh, he's a good guy. Oh, yo, what's up? Now we feel comfortable doing business with you. I was like, wow, I didn't even know to think from that. So one, I learned a lesson from that too, is like, hey, build a relationship with people over time, and then put them in different environments to, in a sense, I almost think like building relationships is kind of like dating. Like, you don't just jump into them like, hey, what's up? Let's get married today. It's like, hey, what's up? Let's just see how this thing works, and let's see if there's some synergy and if we can build something, and if we get along. And then if that's there, then you continue to build with it.
That's really good. That's really good. When I think about that too, especially as adults, you hear, especially thanks to, our brother Drake, no new friends or whatever. But as you continue to excel in your career and just grow and develop and all of those things, it is important to continue to evolve in those relationships as well. What would you say is really important to look for when, and I love how you said putting people in different environments, but what is really important to look for in these people to determine whether or not they should be in your circle?
I just think about, like, one, I'm very rarely just add somebody to my circle. I was reading this article, and I think this is important no matter how old you are, but I was reading this article when I was in my mid-20s, and it was like a list of things you should do before you're 30. And one of them was to make as many friends as possible, because as people get older, they don't typically add more friends. They typically delete more friends, And so I think one tip is to do it as early as you can, as fast as you can, in terms of connecting with people. It takes time to build a relationship. And so one of the things I've done recently, I have a list. I call it like my top 50 list. And literally what I do is people that I have on the list, and I'm like, okay, this year I want to be intentional about texting, checking in. That it gives me a reminder sometimes to go comment on some posts on social media and stuff like that, just to say, okay, even if I'm not texting you, let me jump over here and comment on the page, or I just send you something positive in your DM, or give you a compliment of somebody, or see how I can, connect you to somebody that may help you, or what I'm saying, something like that. So I'm trying to say, okay, how can I be intentional about developing these relationships, and then the ones that I've already been building with, I say, okay, cool, those people I can maybe check in maybe twice a year. The new people that I'm looking to build up, maybe every 90 days. Like, I don't think you got to overdo it. I think I've seen some people like, hey, bro, just want to say nice meeting you last week. And then they want to start motivating me, sending me motivational messages every morning. I'm like, listen, bro, I appreciate it, but I don't need that. You know what I'm saying? But let's.
You say that?
I don't say that to them.
Okay.
I don't need the
I'm just asking.
message. Not every day. I don't need that person in my life, but there are people I'm like, hey, if I'm in your city, I'll let you know. Or if I know somebody that's got a restaurant, I'll say, hey, listen, if you want to go there, I know somebody that owns this place. And so it's just finding ways to add value and be intentional about checking in with people. Again, with no intention, no motives behind it, and then just seeing what comes authentically from that. So and then what do I look out for? I mean, just stuff that you don't like in regular people's life, like I think you should be friends with people that you want to be friends with. And if it's somebody you like, I really just don't rock with that, just be okay with that too. And I think you start to build your tribe of people that you really like and you really rock with. And then, like, you know, I have people that are just friends in my regular life, and then there's people that have friends that are in business. And I think one thing I had to learn is like there's a difference.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to realize that, because especially in the work environment, or you be thinking everybody cool, and you know, as soon as you're not there no more, it's like, dang, I thought we was cool, but maybe we not. And so I've learned, you know, and my mom had to teach me that too. It was like, listen, you know, your stuff your parents say, everybody ain't your friend. Like, yeah, yes, they are. They are my friend. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, no, they're not. But that doesn't mean they're a bad person, though. That doesn't make them a bad person just because everybody's not your best friend. Some people are just good people that happen to be around your life for a period of time, or you can continue to check in from time to time. And so I think those are the things I look for: positive attitude. Because I'm not really a negative person. I don't like people that emotionally dumb me every time. Not sometimes. Everybody got that, but if it's every day, hey man, what's going on? Oh man, you don't believe it. Or if I look at their stories on social media and it's like it's always drama, something going on. Like, man, you got a lot going on, Doc. I don't know if I can involve myself in that world.
Right.
And so I think I look for stuff like that. Just who would I really want to be friends with myself?
Okay, that's fair. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, Justin, I don't struggle with making friends. Every city I've ever lived in, I've made friends. But where I struggle with is I am not a good networker. I do not go to networking events because I'm extremely awkward and like I don't know anyone here, and I stand in the corner and wait for someone. So if you was coaching me to help me get over that and how to build business relationships or partnerships with people, what would you tell someone? How do you cultivate those relationships with people in business when that's not very your first nature to go to innate in you to be able to do that?
Yeah, I would say, you know, for me, the easiest way to get in with anybody when I first meet them is just to compliment. I mean, I know it seems like basic, but it's just like, you know, like normally I see you, you're going to be sharp in the suit. I'm like, what's up, D? Hey, man, the suit looking good, man. It's got to be an authentic one. You know, then I might be like, man, where you get it from? Or like ladies, they always like, you know, compliment those like hair, eyebrows, shoes, you know, or the way they're handling themselves. You know, with ladies, you got to be careful of as a guy because, you know, you're not trying to sound like you're hitting on them, but it's like, just give a genuine compliment. And then typically that opens up the door for some kind of dialogue, some kind of conversation. Like if I'm coming to a guy, I'm like, man, I like that suit. Man, where you get it from? Where's your tailor? Oh man, this ain't tailor, man. It's from Men's Wearhouse. Oh, for real? That's what's up, man. That's what I'm telling you. I couldn't tell it wasn't Taylor. It looked like it was. Hey man, I appreciate it, man. What do you do, by the way? And then just start getting into dialogue, and I just talk about people typically until they're tired of talking about themselves. And then I just typically I'm trying to find a way if I can add some value, and like maybe it's a connection, a relationship, or I'm just, hey, I'll keep you in mind if something comes. If I happen to know somebody, let me grab your card. Or you know, if it's somebody I want to develop a relationship with later, I'll say, hey man, maybe next time I'm in your city, or you know, next week, let's try to connect. If it's somebody I really want to connect with, I want to try to make some type of connection within like 48 to 72 hours after the fact, even if it's just a text. And then it's like, hey, let's do lunch. Or maybe we jump on a call, or maybe we do tea, or, you know, grab something at Starbucks or something like that. I just want to have some time where we can take it to like, you know, I almost look like personal relationships, almost like social media. So it's like, if it's somebody in social media, my goal is to take the conversation from online to offline. And so if it's somebody I want to build a relationship in real life, I want to take the relationship from at that event to in our personal life. So how do we do that? We have to connect now again outside of this place. And that's where you get a chance to talk about, hey, oh, you got a daughter. Okay, man, what do you do? Oh, you got a niece. And we just find ways that we connect on stuff. You know, I've connected on stuff. It's like, literally, I was talking to a friend 2 days ago, and we literally only connected because he's an Indianapolis Colts fan. But that's turned into us talking about real estate deals and other stuff. And it's like, man, if we would have never met and started talking about football and Colts, we've been friends for maybe like 15, 16 years the same way. And it's like all of this off of just football. And so, you know, I think those are some of the things that's worked.
You know, so a lot of that has to do with knowing yourself, right?
Yeah.
Right? You got to know what your hobbies are, what you like to do, because you be out and about, honey.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, for sure.
He always said, I do not go to networking events. They make me so nervous, networking events. Because it's I can naturally do it, but it's the intentionality of having to do it, right?
Yeah.
That's why I can never run a business. I always tell Blair, because going to get customers, I'm like, I can't. I don't know how to do that. But Blair, that's what it is for me.
But it's knowing your personality type, you know. And I think if you're not good at that, then get a friend, bring somebody there that is good at connecting, because you are good at connecting with people because you said you don't have a problem in certain environments. So you just got to find your strengths in that environment. Okay, how can I use D'Angelo's superpower here? My superpower is, man, if I get with you and I get to talking to you, we're gonna laugh and we're gonna have a couple jokes. So maybe ours in this big circle. It might just be grabbing a drink at the bar real quick. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'll try to bump into somebody accidentally or find a moment where we can talk, you know. So I think it's just finding those moments where you can shine as yourself and let your personality through, and then I think it comes through. Like Blair says, just kind of knowing who you are.
That's great.
Yeah, we talk about authenticity all the time, and especially when you're being your true authentic self, it gives other people permission to be themselves as well, and that's where some true connectivity can start happening.
Yeah.
So we talked about a couple of different types of relationships, just very high level. You talked about personal relationships, you talked about work relationships, but we've also talked about before, like a personal board of directors, if you will. Like there's a group of people that I'm sure that you go to for certain things.
Yeah.
What would you encourage people to do to start developing that personal board of directors?
Well, first I would say just find out who you really want to get advice from. And because like any company, they don't just put anybody on the board of directors. It's not just because you're my friend for a long time. It's like, okay, who can give me sound advice in these particular areas? And so, like, I have mentors that I ask for. I call for specific things. Just like it's almost like friends. Like like the friends you're gonna call about a specific problem, and the ones you like, okay, I can't bring this problem to that one because they already know what's going on. And so I think the same thing for me. It's like I have people like that's business related. I have people that are like spiritual advice. I have people that have given me like really good relationship advice, health. And so I was like, okay, what are the areas I really want to improve in myself? And then go from there. Like some of it is marketing. Like it's like a couple people, I'm like, look, I need to find out, all right, this is what I'm trying to do. And it's like sometimes it'd be like a 3-minute conversation. I'm like, dang, that was good. I'm glad I called him real quick because it just switched up a couple things that I could change. And some of it has made me a lot of money in a short period of time, just having those relationships. So I think it's just like, okay, let me think about the places that you want to have people. And here's the thing I think it's okay too, is like sometimes some of those positions may be vacant. Like I don't just fill it just because I need somebody there. Like, all right, I need somebody that's spiritual. So let me find somebody that is in that role. Like, so right now, like in my current relationship, like we're going to like a couples retreat. Because I'm like, man, I've never done I've invested a lot into like business and coaching and a whole bunch of stuff, but I've never invested in that space when it comes to my relationships. I'm like, okay, let's try that and let's get some like a couples spiritual retreat and let's develop in that area. And guess what? That area was really like blank, but it's like at the same time, you have to find somebody now as a couple that, hey, if we have a problem, who can we both look up to and be willing to take that advice? And so right now that spot is vacant. My goal is over the next 45 days after this event, then we'll have somebody that we can say, hey, look, we both can buy in and listen to this if we have some challenges in that area. So I think for me, it's like finding who I want to be on that board. And I put myself in those situations intentionally. I will buy a good ticket a couple times and be there. Like I literally just bought this gentleman's course. And he was like, yo, if you get any value out of it, DM me. I DM'd him and I sent him a $50 Starbucks card. He don't need the $50, but I'm like, let me just find a way to, stand out from most people that's reaching out. Now, maybe nothing comes of that today, but again, guess what? Next year, if I reach out and say, what's up, or in 90 days, and he looks back at it, he's like, oh man, this the dude that messaged me. He was in my course. Oh man, he sent me this voucher. I didn't even use my Starbucks joint, but it's still there in people's mind of the conversation. And so I do stuff like that intentionally. And a lot of times it's not like super expensive stuff that you do to people to show value. Like it's been simple stuff like, mentors come in town. I make sure somebody picks them up, or, hey, your wife needs something from Chipotle. I'm sending it over to you. I'm not even asking, and listening for stuff. One of them, we grew in a relationship because they were talking about some door stoppers on their door. Like, those little white door stoppers that you can kind of protect it.
Me.
Yeah.
It was me.
Oh,
it was me. I have it on my door to this day. Yeah.
So I've had so many conversations with people, and I like sometimes I just listen to people. I'm like, okay, they need this, or they need that, or they trying to connect with this, or they try, and I just say, okay, how can I facilitate something like to do that? And it's like people, it's the smallest things. So sometimes the people you think get treated the most and get helped the most, they get helped the least because most people don't think to. And so when somebody does it, it does stand out. And then those people, you know, they love to pour into people. So I think they if they find some good soil, they'll pour into it too.
That was a whole word. I forgot who asked the question. Look,
Mm.
I was like, oh, that was, I mean, because it just reminds me of everything that you're saying. I see an intersection of two main things. Definitely your skill set, whether it's from sales or of course family and upbringing. So there's that intersection. But the way that you think is very methodical, very intentional. And although it's very logical, it's still very caring.
Yeah.
And I think that there is a lot of leaders out there when they're trying to be, they're trying to increase performance on their team, trying to increase productivity. They do want to work with their people, but they're thinking about that outcome. How do we increase revenue? How do we increase calls? How do we, do this, that, and the other? But they're not truly thinking about developing that person and cultivating that relationship, not because that person could be a leader on their team, but just because they could be a leader. Yeah. Or just because they could be a better human, or just because they may need someone to see them that week. And I think that's really important in leadership.
Yeah, it is. It is. I think the faster you realize that, you don't try to build a business per se. You try to build people, and then people build your business.
That's right.
And I've had some of the biggest increases in production just by getting a chance to know people, because once you know them, you know what drives them, you know what doesn't. Like for instance, with me, I'm not the type, there's some people that you be like, oh man, if you don't do it, then I'll do it without you. I'm like, cool, go ahead, do it without me then. You know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't motivate Justin. And so, but if that is your motivational style as a leader, you could be unintentionally uninspiring people when your goal was to inspire them. And so the only way is to find out what makes people tick. What do they like about the environment? What don't they like? And the way you do that is you have to make it safe for them to tell you those things. Make it safe for them to expose, the pros and cons. And I think the way I do that is I just let people know, yo, I'm here for you. Like I literally, one of the companies my brother's running with me, we had this lady, she's like, listen, I'm here because I want to do what you're doing. I was like, perfect. She was like, really? I was like, yeah, that's cool. I know what it takes, so I can help you with it. As long as you do your job here, I'll help you do that. She's like, wow, every time I told somebody that, they ended up firing me because they thought I was going to come in here and take the stuff. I'm like, yeah, but you're going to do that anyway. So I'm glad you put that out there. I'm cool with showing you how to do it, just as long as you do the right stuff. And then it's they were like, wow, I appreciate the fact that you really was willing to help me with that. So I think the more that people can tell that you care about them outside of the environment, it helps them perform better inside of the environment.
Yeah, and one of the other things I think I got out of this conversation, Justin, that's really I want leaders to take with them, if I think a key takeaway is when you talk about this board of directors, and I think about your board of advisors, is you have been very thoughtful about who's not on there, right? And so when leaders are thinking about when you're thinking about your cultural competency, your cultural dexterity, really be thinking about who's not sitting at your table around you to help you grow as a leader and be more effective and be more inclusive. So that may mean a person with a different skill set, that may be a person who's of a different race, but really to be thoughtful about that is where is there some blind spots for you, or maybe some weakness or areas that you can be better at. And you talked about in this relationship area, you're like, I need someone, it would be great to have someone there who can continue to work that muscle and strengthen it. And so how do I do that? And so I think that's another key takeaway for leaders who are listening about making sure your board of directors really reflects your goals and your effectiveness and where you want to get to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. All right, Blair, I think I have a shout out of the day, but do you have another question before I go there? Did you have a fun question for Justin, since you...
I mean, we started late, first of all.
We were late 4 minutes, guys. We can stay longer. We can stay.
I want my time. Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go for it. Okay.
No, I do have a question. It's not really a fun question, but it's just something that I thought about as, we're having this conversation and just kind of reflecting. I remember once upon a time, I can't remember where we were, but you and I were talking. And we're talking about something, no telling what. And I think you were looking past me. Mm-hmm. And I was like, are you listening to me? You were like, yeah, I'm listening to you. And at that time, I think I can't remember this moment. I don't know if you remember it, but I do remember what came of it was you were listening, but you were listening to respond. You were almost waiting for me to finish. Mm-hmm. And I can even tell, it feels different, right? Even virtually, but I can tell that that's shifted a lot. That was 10 years ago.
Yeah, for sure.
So when you're working with leaders, and again, they're just trying to get to the outcome. They don't want to hear the negative things. They don't want to hear, what's been going on in your head and your heart and your soul and all of that stuff. how do you encourage them to really get past that? And I know you've kind of talked about it a little bit, but how do you really encourage them to get past that, to listen intently, to really connect emotionally, and to really put themselves out there as well and be a little bit more vulnerable? Because I noticed that you've done that as well over the last few years.
Yeah, I think that takes time though. Like for a person to get to that point, like it took me a while to be more transparent about stuff, and not like, and I would say transparent more like, it's just something like I'm a private person too. Like some stuff just ain't people business. That's why I'd be like, yeah, look, you don't need to know that my tire went flat this morning. I just keep it moving myself. You know what I'm saying? But there are parts of your journey that do make people feel more comfortable. Opening up. So I think part of it starts with you. I've noticed even with my daughter, it's easier for her to open up when I open up. Like when I ask her a question, like, well, did you ever do this? I'm like, yeah, let me tell you by the time I did it and why you shouldn't do it still. And then I'm like, okay, so now did you do that? Well, yes, I did. Because it makes people more comfortable when they realize that they're not by themselves. But at the same time, also letting them know that, hey, listen, that's no excuse either. Like you still have to perform. You still have a job that you have to get accomplished. And so I just look at stuff like, and I like, obviously this is not like a spiritual platform, right? But I do read, there are lessons in the Bible that are really good. And I think as a person in the storybook of Jesus, there are a lot of good lessons that a person can take. Pretty much, I study a lot of leadership. 99% of all leadership books go back to the Bible and like teachings. And there's so much stuff that you can learn from it. I think if people just say, okay, man, what can I learn from the example that was wrote about of this person? And apply it to business, and how do they open people up? Like, I learned, like, look at him. It's a couple examples. Like one, like leadership isn't a step up, it's a step down. Like he looked for opportunities to teach examples, not like, y'all, we was out here walking this whole time. Y'all didn't wash my feet. He was like, no, give me the bucket, give me the water. I'm gonna start washing y'all feet. And he did everybody's feet. He wasn't like, okay, now y'all keep going. He was like, nope, let's keep going. I was thinking about something recently too, like when he did, like he changed the water into the wine. Like he wasn't like, I did that. You know what I'm saying? He had his team go say, hey, let them know that there's wine here. And he didn't want no shine for it. So it's like you find lessons where it's like, okay, even when you do something great, now you put your people around you in position to get the shine and to get the light, and you continue to do that. And I think those things help to drive and move your organization forward, but also help people to develop, because I think you can be harder on people. I put it like this. The more people know you care about them, the harder you can be with them in conversation. Mm-hmm. And so if we have a great relationship, I can say like, hey man, you gotta get that together, bro. Like you tripping. And it's like, they know that because now we have a good relationship. They know I'm not saying it just to say it. They know I'm not saying it because I'm a bad person or they're a bad person. Like, man, you got to get it together. Dog. We can't keep having this conversation. But when you don't know somebody, when you don't have the relationship, the first thing people think is like, well, who do you think they talking to? Are you going to talk to me like that? Because there's no basis of the relationship. And so that's why building the relationship is really important. And I always teach people, like, you should build relationships before you need them. A lot of people try to build them when they need them. And so like, if you need some relationships right now, I'm sorry to tell you, the ones that you're about to build, they're probably not going to help you in this season, but they may help you in the next season. You know what I'm saying? And so you have to be aware of that, like, because if you need, like, the relationships that you need today, you probably should have already built them. And so you got, like, there's some people right now that I'm like, I need something from them. I'm like, I can't even call them for that. That's your fault, Justin. You should have been saying what's up a little while ago, because I can't reach out now just to ask for. I mean, I can, but I try not to. You know what I'm saying? And so I think you try to do those things with people, and then you learn from feedback. Like, I've learned from negative conversations, like, like, hey man, listen to me. Like, huh? What? But I was. Well, it didn't look like it. Okay, cool. All right, Justin, how can you get that better? I learned, even from being married. Like, I was married for like 11 years and then got divorced. And there was stuff that, like, I was like, that is totally her. And some of it totally was. But then as I started dating after the fact, I'm like, some of that was actually me, because it's come up again with a totally different person that didn't know anything about this. And so I think when you start getting in different environments with different people, you start saying, okay, you know what? If I come into a new environment and people stop liking me after a period of time, it's probably me. So what am I doing that's creating that? And what are some patterns that I can continue to see? And then you fix those within yourself.
Oh, you gave like 5 mini sermons in that last. Bro, I was like so much I'm gonna take with me. Okay, yes, thank you for that. You gave such a gift. You gave me a gift there with so many things you said there. Yeah, thank you so much for that. Blair, I'm gonna save my shout out to tomorrow if you want to take us home and say some reflective words there.
You know what? I'm gonna just shout out to these relationships that we have cultivated, because this right here is a prime example of everything that we were talking about today. These are two wonderful, outstanding men that I have been friends with for nearly 2 decades, and I'm proud of that. And so y'all continue to shine as well. So my shout out is to y'all. Love, light to you two both. Thank you for the knowledge, yes, and all the information. To everyone out there, thank you for supporting us every single weekday at 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for your daily dose of DMB with DMB on the Black Diva Collective. Y'all have a great day.
All right, have a good one.
See you.